This is Daniel.
And this is Krebs.
This is Alton.
And I am Matai.
And you're listening to Dungeon Crawlers Radio, the greatest geek podcast out there.
Hello, Dungeon Crawlers! Matai here, and we have a very special video episode that we're bringing to you today, and I have brought a couple of my favorite people to join me. You already know Professor Krebs and our sister Sarah. So today we're going to provide you a review of a gaming table. I want to point out this is not a paid review, but we do want to express our gratitude to Styx Furniture for lending us one of their gaming tables so that we can bring this review to you. Our first thing that we want to do is show you what it's like to put this together and how long it takes. So we have here our timer, and we're going to do a quick time lapse of the assembly. So ready? Here we go.
Even with all our jabbering, it took only a little over 10 minutes to assemble this table, and it is beautiful. I love a natural wood grain pattern, and this table really brings that out. In fact, that was the first thing that caught my eye. Mike Heyer at Styx Furniture invited me to his workshop to give us a peek behind the scenes. Mike, take it away.
Hi, I'm Mike Heyer. I'm the designer at Styx Furniture. We use thick veneer on the dining leaves because we want these tables to be heirloom type pieces, and that will allow them to be refinished, and dents and stuff won't go through the veneer, and you'll see a different color underneath. The plywood that we use will provide a lot of stability and strength. It'll keep the dining leaves flat and dimensionally the same size over the seasons. And so we'll take one of these and we'll take these larger sheets, top and bottom, and we glue them over on the vacuum presses. The vacuum press will just, these tubes, our vacuum pump just pull the air out of this so that we can use atmospheric pressure to keep these flat and glue the veneer top and bottom onto the plywood. Along the side of the table, rather than cutting the shorter sections, our table is at 23 inches. So rather than cut 23-inch sections, we cut one that's almost 70 inches long, so that as we put them along the side of the table, the grain will match down the edge, even though they're in 3 leaves down the side of a rectangle table. Anything that we can do to make the table a higher quality piece, we're willing to do, even if it means that we have to keep track of things and do a little extra work for that, making a really high quality, long-lasting table.
Thanks, Mike. Now let's take a look at some of the cool features of this table.
All right, now these leaves are extendable. This has 2 positions that it can be locked in. Previously, we showed you this one where it gives you a standard size table, but you also have this position, and that looks like this. And now you have room for another person on either side of the table. So with all the leaves in place, this table can seat up to 12 around it.
This gaming table is highly customizable and has many accessories to choose from. These are some of our favorites.
One of the things I really like about the Styx gaming table is that it has so many available accessories, and they're all magnetic in order to connect to the table easily along a metal rail that runs along the inside and the outside of the table, such as these token trays attached here or here, depending on the game you're playing. Up to now, we've been using disposable sauce cups to be able to keep our extra tokens and cubes. And this eliminates that need by giving us really nice token trays or a snack tray for your Skittles. I also really like that you can get them in a double or a triple size, and it comes with an additional slot for your cards during your game. There are also cup holders / snack holders in multiple sizes. One place for my snacks, and another for my big dumb cup. I also really like this multi-row card holder. It's good for when I'm playing a game that has a lot of cards that are good to be separated by color or category.
In my gaming group, I'm the one that's guilty of buying the really big chunky games. And so whenever I'm setting games up at the table, I'm often setting up pieces or boxes off to the side on chairs and on tray tables. But one of my favorite features of the Styx gaming table is that they have a shelf accessory available. And it attaches to the table the way that all their accessories do, via magnets to the inside or outside of the table itself. And so I can take a game like Too Many Bones, which I admit the box is not that big, but the box is very heavy. It weighs over 10 pounds given its total components. But the shelf is strong enough to support games as heavy as Too Many Bones, or to carry the unimaginable burden of trying to represent in board game form the 1983 sci-fi fantasy film Kroll.
For more information, go to Kurtzman Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube.
Now, I'm a big fan of good storage solutions, both in my big box games and in my gaming tables. The Styx gaming table playing surface has a grid of magnets on the underside for storing all of these magnetic accessories. And because everything is a standard size, you can position these wherever you need them to be, so that people aren't bumping their legs on cup holders or other things that are under here. That large shelf, the game box shelf, also fits underneath here, and the distance between the magnets was measured so that when it goes across this seam in the middle, you can still put something across that. All right, so we've had several days to use this table and play some various games. And so we wanted to share with you our impressions of the table. So, Sarah, let's start with you.
Okay.
This gaming table, talking about the gaming table itself, how has playing on a table designed for gaming, with the features that we were showing earlier, how has that affected the experience of playing some of your favorite games compared to playing on a more traditional table, be it a foldable card table or a dining room table like what we would normally do? What makes it different playing on this table?
Well, I really like that it's got the recessed area for play, because then we're not losing tokens, we're not losing dice down onto the floor. I love that it's got the velvet cover, because again, it's a nice quiet feature for this, for when you're playing games that have a lot of dice in it, or a lot of tokens and a lot of cubes and that kind of thing. I happen to really like the measurements of this. The measurements are what makes this so great. It is a perfect width for setting up even some of our really, really large games, but at the same time, it's not so wide that if you needed to reach across, it would become cumbersome or anything. So it's actually got a perfect width and length, and so I really, really like those features about this. And it's great that it's got the metal rails on the inside and the outside, depending on where we want to put our various accessory trays. So I really, really like those features. It allows us to move things around quite a lot.
Great. You know, I agree with what you're saying. Having this surface, a lot of times with the larger games that I really like to play, I'm constantly standing up to try to reach the far side of the table. And with this, with it being sunken, I can reach further than I could otherwise. Plus, having a little armrest here is really convenient.
And you know, because of reach, I want you to know I'm only 5'1". I do not have a long reach.
Reach is
not
an issue
tall,
for you.
So if I can reach really easily across this table, then that really is saying something.
Yeah. Josh, what about you? What are your impressions?
So my impressions overall are fairly positive. I very much agree with what you're saying about the sunken playfield. I do like that it never really occurred to me why it's so advantageous to have a sunken play field on a game table, except that on a standard table you have a flat plane from end to end and you have one perspective. Even though we've only dropped this down about 3, maybe 4 inches, this gives you a slightly more over-the-top perspective, and I think that really did enhance gameplay. Plus, having everything right here in front, almost like poker armrests in a way. You know, you could rest on a table a bit. Plus, you have the opportunity for external accessories. So you have like your drinks outside of the play area, you have food outside of the play area, and then you have your game tokens inside the play area. So I like that separation of concerns.
For me, one of the things I really like is just having any kind of a felt surface is really good, because when I'm playing on our dining room table has a very smooth surface, and when you put cards down, they're very hard to pick up. And if you sleeve them like I do, because I like to play my games over and over without them wearing out,
And they're really slick.
it's really hard to get them up. They stick to the table just because they're so smooth. So I usually put a neoprene or some kind of fabric top down so I can pick up the cards from it each. This place where it's made that a lot easier. Rolling dice on this dampened the noise and made that a lot better as well. I also, and this is just a silly thing, but I also kind of liked the roll of the dice on this surface. It was a little more satisfying than on a hard surface.
Like a really smooth roll.
And I like what Sarah was saying about the different accessories that come with this. You've got these great trays to put your cubes and tokens and stuff. And this card organizer, I wasn't sure about it at first, but as you use this, as I used it in a few of these games, it sure made it a lot easier to kind of hold my cards, keep them organized. I was able to kind of put them in the order I intended to play them. And that was very helpful, rather than holding them in my hand the whole time.
Especially when you're doing a game where you don't have a hand limit and you may be acquiring a lot of cards all at the same time.
Yeah, and it keeps it off the play surface, which again helps to improve the real estate. So for me, the big thing with this is there's a lot of great features of this that optimize the real estate. Unlike a flat surface table, you are strictly limited to this because you've got raised borders. So you can't hang off the edge a little bit. So that might be one little downside, but there is a lot of space here to play with. And at one point, all 3 of us were playing 3 different games on the same table. You know, little solo games and stuff, but there was room for us to do that. I loved that. I really liked that. The other thing is the quality of the table is really, really good. This is very sturdy. It doesn't move a whole lot. It was really simple to put together. The craftsmanship of this particular one is very fine. But that leads me to one of the downsides about this. Because it is so nice, I am really afraid of damaging it or scratching it or something. And I've got kids at home still.
And I gotta tell you, the fact that everything is magnetic and can be stored on the bottom on a grid system, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
I haven't seen that on many. I've seen a few gaming tables, and a lot of them have some of the common features like a sunken thing or some way to attach trays. But I have not seen one where you've got this incredibly dynamic magnetic storage that fits everything.
So you can be able to get a lot of accessories, and they all fit under here on a grid system, and I love that. Storage solutions are the hot ticket these days. So the fact that this provides that, I mean, that's primo. I like it.
What do you have to say, Josh?
For me, one thing I'd like to see about this table that in a future iteration would be, I did notice that when we had the leaves extended out to their full width, that the weight on the end pieces would cause those leaves to bow just a little bit. And I do worry that, especially like me, I mean, even now during this video, I lean a lot on the table, and it's a natural inclination. If you have a DM who's at one end of the table on an extended leaf, and they've got their gear set up, they've got their laptop and everything, they're going to put their arms on the table, they're going to push up to stand up, and so one thing I'd like to see is possibly using their magnetic grid system on the underside of the main leaves, have L-style brackets that you could then clip into place once the leaf is where it should be, that would then apply some of the leverage to the side of the table.
Give some more support.
And give it some more support.
Those are some of the negatives, but overall, I think we really like this table. One thing I didn't quite get a clear answer on was how has this changed or affected the gameplay experience? Now that I'll start. Now that I've done this, I didn't know what I was missing. Having a gaming table now, and I'm playing on a traditional table, I'm going to always feel like I'm missing something. Like, this is not as good as when I had this beautiful felt surface, or I could reach down into the play area. And then the second thing is, with one large table in my home, and a family who wants to eat unreasonably 3 times a day, I am always conscious of, okay, if I'm going to start a game that's going to take me 2 or 3 hours, I got to check the clock and make sure that's not going to overlap with any of the food prep time, because I'm going to have to finish my game and get it cleaned off before other people need to use the table. With this, and because the leaves can go on top, I feel less anxiety and more at peace playing my game, and being willing to walk away from it to answer interruptions or other important urgent matters that might come up, knowing that I can leave my game set up down here on the play surface, and then just cover it with the leaves for us to use that part, and I can come back to it after they're done with the meal or whatever.
I think that's probably one of the most important features of owning a game table that has an additional topper on it, is because it takes away that anxiety of, I've got to rush through my game, and then you don't get to really enjoy the gaming experience. When you know that you can simply cover it and come back to it later, you're enjoying the whole thing. And I feel the same way. Now that I have played on this surface, I'm like, oh, all the things I've been missing. And I love a gaming table.
Yeah, and for me, because I like to play the chunkier games, I like to play the more campaign-based games, it makes a lot of sense that I could set something up which can sometimes, depending on the game, like Oathsworn, that can take me between 30 minutes to an hour just to get right. And then you get that all set up, and then it's time for dinner before people come over, and then so you can cover it back up, have your meal, and like you were saying previously, the leaves have a rubber gasket that allows to everything underneath to stay dry in case something spills. I think that's all great, and for me, this table in general, the strength of it is all the little things. It's all the quality of life improvements. The felty surface so that you can pick up your cards, because we sleeve our cards, and it makes it very easy to get those. The ability to have like a save state for your game when you put the topper on, the improved perspective, the use of the accessory trays instead of using plastic sauce trays from Temu, all that stuff. Like it's all the little quality of life stuff, and this could legitimately replace the dining room table in spaces where you don't have a separate room for gaming, like apartments or small homes or condos. This would be an excellent solution to that.
All right, so your final thought on this, would you recommend, not recommend? Is this something that you would want or not? And if somebody was asking you about whether they should get a gaming table, one sentence, what would it be?
I absolutely would. First of all, it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of furniture just to begin with. And it's multi-purpose. I like that it's got the feature for the rubber gasket, so if you spill, it doesn't come down into your gaming area and ruin the recess pad. There's so much to recommend it for when you're doing your gaming. I think this is just fantastic. I highly recommend it. I would want this myself.
Josh? I think a gaming table for a serious gamer makes a lot of sense. And I think this game table is of exceptional quality. My only concern being that at its current price point, this is not designed for a gamer on a budget. This is designed for a gamer who has a little bit more disposable income and is a little bit more established. And so this table is an excellent, excellent piece of furniture for someone who's got the money to spend on it.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. There are several different kinds of gaming tables out there, and so far from what I've seen, you often get what you pay for. And if you want to get an inexpensive gaming table, it's going to be it's going to be a necessity, cheaper material, less sturdy, may not have some of the great features that we reviewed on this table by Styx Furniture.
but all the upper end ones definitely have a lot of the same features. And the way that Styx has implemented this particular gaming table is really impressive to me. So I would, gaming tables in general, yes, I would recommend that over the dining room table. Absolutely, I don't want to go back. As far as which table to get, shopping around is a good idea. Know your budget before you get in. For my money, of the different gaming tables I've seen in showrooms or at conventions, I haven't seen one that matches this quality. So anyway, my one sentence review of a gaming table is yes, yes, oh yes, but it's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so that was our review of the Styx gaming table. We hope that you enjoyed that. Please leave a comment below and let us know what your thoughts are on this. Have you used a gaming table? What was your experience with it? And have a great day.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.